Good morning. As a member of the Board of Trustees, I'd like to welcome you all to this live broadcast from the Springfield, Vermont Unitarian Universalist community. Our service today will be led by the Reverend Dr. Mellen Kennedy, and our homegrown virtual choir will be directed by Jelaine Denier. We have scheduled time toward the end of the program for introduction of guests and announcements. And we do hope that you all stay for our virtual coffee hour immediately following the service. Thank you.
Welcome to our service in honor of that great Buddhist teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. Have you heard the word mindfulness? Thich Nhat Hanh, more than anyone, has brought that word and that way of being to our awareness. And the ringing of the bell is a practice of mindfulness. So when the bell rings, it's an opportunity to come fully into this moment, into your breath, into your awareness of right now. Thich Nhat Hanh, that great Buddhist teacher. We are here today to honor him. These are our opening words from Thich Nhat Hanh. People say walking on water is a miracle, but to me, walking peacefully on the earth, that's the real miracle. Come into this place of peace and let our silence heal your spirit. Come into this place of memory and let our history and our stories, especially of Thich Nhat Hanh, let it warm your soul. Come into this place of peace and let our collective vision change your heart. Welcome to our time of worship together. So glad that you are here. Jelaine has a beautiful song for us, which she wrote.
Hi, I wrote this song in 2017. I had been reading some poetry of Thich Nhat Hanh, and at the very end of his poem, The Great Bell Chant, he said, flowers of peace bloom in my heart. And so I took those words and turned them a little bit and then added some more to it. and I've performed it many times, but last summer I re-recorded it with some extra recording that I was given by a dear friend of ours in this church, Christy Howe, recorded some sounds out her window for me. And so now the song has become a metaphor for being able to find the peace within ourselves. So this is a little avant-garde, but I think that you'll enjoy it. There is a drone during the song, and I invite you to hum along with the drone. Humming drones is a really wonderful meditative practice, and it helps us to breathe deeper. If you're humming a drone, you're going to breathe more deeply. So hum along with the drone. Even the beginning drone, I invite you to hum with that one too. So here we are. In the garden of my heart, flowers of peace are blooming. Wandering mind melts into soft petals. Golden nectar steals the in the garden of my heart, flowers of peace are blooming. Wandering mind melts into soft petals. Golden nectar steals the bee. In the garden of my heart, flowers of peace are blooming. Wandering mind melts into soft petals. Golden nectar steals the bee. In the garden of my heart, flowers of peace are blooming. Wandering mind melts into soft petals. Golden nectar steals the bee. In the garden of my heart, flowers of peace are blooming. Wandering mind melts into soft petals. Golden nectar steals the bee.
Thank you so much to Julaine and to Christina, who did the background, the construction sounds that began us off. It's so beautiful. What a gorgeous piece. What a gorgeous piece. Thich Nhat Hanh, great, great being, great, great teacher. One of, as I asked you the question, have you heard the term mindfulness? And Thich Nhat Hanh, more than anyone, I think, has brought that concept into the West. He's a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. And to be in the present moment, to not be thinking about the future and what you're going to do, or thinking about the past and what has happened, but to actually be here. That's the big challenge of being human. I'm going to share with you another image from my PowerPoint. Thich Nhat Hanh says, in our daily life, although our body is in one place, our mind is often in another. But paying attention to the in-breath and the out-breath brings the mind back to the body. And suddenly we are there, fully present in the here and now. Thich Nhat Hanh, as well as being a Buddhist monk, he was an artist. This is one of his paintings he's standing in front of. It's called Enzo, the practice of painting a circle. It's an ancient Japanese Zen practice, a Buddhist practice. And in painting the Enzo, it brings you into the present moment. This particular circle will never happen again in the history of the world. This is it, this moment. And this particular gathering of human beings will never happen again in the history of the world. This gathered circle that we have here online. So Enzo is a magical practice of bringing the body, the breath, the mind, the attention all into one place. And we have a really special treat for you. Deb is going to share with us. That's Thich Nhat Hanh standing in front of one of his paintings. Great, great artist that he was. In that practice, and here is Thich Nhat Hanh, a painting of Thich Nhat Hanh painting, an Enzo. Bringing breath, body, attention, mind, all in one place through the art of painting. So some of you know our dear friend Suiko, who used to live in Springfield, and she is one of the founders of the Art Monastery, and she is a Buddhist. And she has this practice of Enzo. So we're going to see a short video that she made for us specifically.
I have challenged myself to
Can you make
paint
it bigger, Deb?
one painting per day, every day for 100 days. As of this recording, I'm on day 18. And so far, all of the paintings are concentric circles. As I'm making them, I'm invited by the painting to be really present. If my mind wanders for even a moment, the line trembles. And then that tremble ripples out for the rest of the painting. In the end, each painting feels like a fingerprint, a unique record of my mind in this moment, and this moment, and this moment. So the question arises, what am I circling around? A circle is defined by its center. What is the center? What is my center this year, this moment? What is at the center of my life? What is at the center of our country? What is at the center of my spiritual path? And how does that ripple out? Through my thoughts, through my words, through my interactions? Rainer Maria Rilke says, I live my life in widening circles that reach out across the world. I may not complete this last one, but I give myself to it. I circle around God, around the primordial tower. I've been circling for thousands of years, and I still don't know. Am I a falcon, a storm, or a great song? You are held by strong arms. You are fed at a soft breast. You are bathed in moonlight. You live in a circle, you are held by love of friends, by love of family, by love of spirit, always in a circle, in a circle.
Join me in the words for our affirmation. What's it all about? Love is the doctrine of this community. The quest for truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge in freedom, to serve the needs of all beings to the end that all souls shall grow into harmony with the divine. Thus do we covenant with each other and with the source of our being. So I've told you a little bit about Thich Nhat Hanh, this really amazing, great being. And the reason that we are talking about him today is that he passed away recently, about a month ago. He lived in Vietnam. He was born in Vietnam, but he was in exile, and he founded a retreat center called Plum Village. And this is a picture from Plum Village. And in addition to meditation and prayer and gardening and work, they also sing at Plum Village. And Julaine is going to share with us one of their songs.
Once again, feel free to keep yourself muted, but hum along to the drone and get into a nice meditative state.
Thank you so much to Julaine and the virtual choir for producing that beautiful, beautiful piece for us from Thich Nhat Hanh's Plum Village. So let me tell you a little bit about the life of this most amazing man. I feel really grateful. I became aware of Thich Nhat Hanh in my 20s. My first spiritual teacher, well, I was raised Catholic, so my first spiritual teachers were the nuns, the priests, my family. And then when I ventured out to an expansive, not just Christian, but other ways of knowing the mystery, my first exposure was actually to Thich Nhat Hanh in Buddhism. I feel very, very fortunate. My first spiritual teacher outside of the Christian world I grew up in was Valerie Butler, my neighbor. And she was a Buddhist. And she was a follower of Thich Nhat Hanh. So pretty much for birthday presents or Christmas presents or whatever, I got Thich Nhat Hanh books, and I have many of them. He has published more than 100 books in English. Can you believe that? And he was fluent in Vietnamese, French, English, Pali, and something else. I can't remember. Pali is an ancient language that a lot of the Buddhist texts were written in. So he has been a great influence on my entire life for 40 years. And my entire life is so enriched by him. And when I would visit my friend Val, she would get up in the morning, go out for a walk, and come back and sit and meditate. And when I visited her, I learned from her that way of being in the world. All before breakfast. And a little bit of yoga tossed in there as well. So Val had a great influence on my life, and through her, I learned about this most amazing teacher, Thich Nhat Hanh. So let me tell you a little bit about him in his life. As a boy growing up in Vietnam, he was born in the 1920s, and he had a great interest in Buddhism and drawn very much to the monastic life. Became a monk at age 16. And his life was thrown into turmoil because of the Vietnam War. So he was in his 40s or so when the war. And he didn't sit on the sidelines in the war. He took a very active stance. Are you seeing these pictures? I think
No, they're not showing.
Oh my goodness, I'm not doing my screen shares right. Okay, I'm sorry. So
there you go.
Okay, so so yes, so he was born in 1926 and he passed away rather recently. This is him as a boy. And here is Thich Nhat Hanh and other Buddhist monks in Vietnam during the time of the struggles, the war. When I was in seminary, my exposure to Thich Nhat Hanh continued. And we read the book, Peace is Every Step. It was an assignment for one of the classes. And it was an aha moment for me reading that book. Very, very challenging. Because what I learned about him is that during the war, he started the School of Youth Social Services, which was part of the university. And so these were monks, young people, students. And they engaged in social services in the rural areas, in the villages, as the war was going on. They went out to the villages, they built schools, things were bombed and a mess, they rebuilt, they brought healthcare, they established clinics. And the whole time, they were neutral. Neutral. They did not take sides. They helped everyone. And Thich Nhat Hanh was maligned by some of the powers that be because he said, the North Viet Cong, they are my brothers. They are my sisters. He was able to open his heart as the bombs are falling open his heart in love to what would be considered the enemy. He transcended that. And it was an aha moment for me because I still remember reading these passages, and it was so powerful for me. There's one story in Peace is Every Step. In the middle of the war, a battle was happening, and some of the young monks were caught, and they were inside huts with families, women and children. And they were in white. They were all in white. And they stayed calm. And they opened the door, and they stepped out holding a white flag, and they walked through. And as they walked, the guns stopped, the fighting stopped, and this whole line of women and children, led by the monks in white, left the village and were safe. When I read that, it sounded like a miracle. It was. How did they do that? How did they transcend the fighting? Not as a theory, but as peace in every step. So I read that book in seminary 20-something years ago, and it was a great challenge for me. Thich Nhat Hanh did not see enemies. He did not see an other who needed to be shot. He saw common humanity. He saw people suffering. When there was violence going on, he asked the question, what's at the root of it? What is making that person behave this way? It's so easy to stay stuck in us and them. And we're right and they're wrong, whoever they are. And you can think of a dozen, if not 100, of they right now in our country and in the world. The other who is wrong. Whether it's people in a red state or a blue state, Republicans or Democrats, or people who think differently than you do about some important topic, the vaccine, the virus, what's going on right now in Ukraine, in the Ukraine. Is Russia the other, the enemy, to be dehumanized? Thich Nhat Hanh says, such a challenge. He says, no. Transcend that us and them. Find the spaciousness. Find a bigger view. And I feel like since I read that book 20-something years ago, I've been struggling to look at the places in my heart where I push people out and make them an other. And this amazing man, he found a way. And for his great efforts at peace, he was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize by none other than Martin Luther King Jr. He and Martin Luther King Jr. were dear, dear friends. And he said, everyone knows that peace has to begin within oneself, but not many people know how to do it. King knew how. Howard Thurman knew how. Thich Nhat Hanh knew how. And he spent his entire life teaching people how to do this, how to be the peace. I shared with you earlier. People say walking on water is a miracle, but to me, walking peacefully on the earth, that's the real miracle. And what we talked about in the kids' story, the breath, the breath. The breath is the key. He says this: breath is the bridge. It connects life to consciousness, which unites your body to your thoughts. Whenever your mind becomes scattered, use your breath as the mean to take hold of your mind again. Do you know this about yourself? That you have this power? You have the breath as a bridge that you can take hold of at any moment in your entire life, at any moment, and bring yourself to a state of peace. I would like us to do a little meditation. I love one of Thich Nhat Hanh. He's called Thai for short, which just means teacher. So Thai taught that the smile works two ways. When you're happy, you naturally smile. It just happens when you're happy. But you can turn it around. You can smile and make yourself happy. Did you know that? You don't have to wait to be happy to smile. You can choose to smile. Try it right now. Choose to smile. And the act of smiling will lift your spirit. It will calm you. It will help you. So this is the order of this meditation: smile and breathe. Smile and breathe. And before we do any activity, before we go into some activity, everything goes better if we smile and breathe first. So I'm going to, can't do original sound from here. Okay, I was going to ring the bell, but if I ring it close by, I'm hoping you will hear it. So this is the mindfulness bell calling us to our breath and to our smile. So let's just sit, smiling and breathing for a few minutes. Thank you for sharing that silence and that smiling and that breathing. Thich Nhat Hanh says, smiling is my mouth yoga. Did you know you could do mouth yoga? You have a tool now. You have a practice to smile and breathe and go slowly. And the magic of the smile, as Thich Nhat Hanh says, there is no way to happiness. Happiness is the way. Yes, even in the midst of turmoil, even actually in the midst of war, which he lived, in the midst of factions and fighting, Thich Nhat Hanh was maligned by many people for not condemning the other as enemy. People gave this beautiful, gentle man a really hard time, and yet he found a way to smile and to breathe. Absolutely amazing man. So how about you? Where are you at with all of this? I want to share with you a quote actually from Suiko. It's about practice. Suiko, who is the artist who did those circles for us, the painting, she says, practice is a commitment, repetitive and prolonged, a disciplined and sustained effort that yields perspectives that are undiscoverable any other way, regardless of the stated goal. Practice itself reshapes the practitioner over time, whether gradually or through bursts of inspiration and insight. By engaging the repetitive rhythm of practice, my work also aims to reshape my life. Those are the words from Suiko. So I'm inviting you to this practice of smiling and breathing, and go slowly. Let me share with you, this is hopefully on the screen share, yes it is, this quote from Thich Nhat Hanh as we think about the Ukraine and what is going on in the world and all the other wars.
Mellen, I'm just seeing a gray screen. I'm not sure if it's true for other folks.
I'm sorry. Let me try again. Okay, here we go. Thank you for listening. We often think of peace as the absence of war. That is, that if powerful countries could reduce their weapon arsenals, we could have peace. But if we look deeply into the weapons, we see our own minds, our own prejudices, fears, and ignorance. Even if we transport all the bombs to the moon, the roots of war and the roots of bombs are still there in our hearts and minds. And sooner or later, we'll make new bombs. To work for peace is to uproot war from ourselves and from the hearts of men and women. To prepare for war, to give millions of men and women the opportunity to practice killing day and night in their hearts, is to plant millions of seeds of violence and anger and frustration and fear that will be passed on for generations to come. But we don't have to do that, do we? To work for peace is to uproot war from ourselves and from the hearts of men and women. So if you want to see peace in the external world, start right here. Smile. Breathe. Go slowly. I'm a runner, and I know that here in Vermont, There's some there's some steep hills that I run up. And if I smile and breathe and imagine myself already at the top, it goes much easier. And I think that is true of all the challenges in our life. If you smile and breathe and step into it, it all goes better. Thich Nhat Hanh, we are so lucky that we were on the planet at the same time as this great, great man. I have behind me an image of the Buddha. So Thich Nhat Hanh was a Buddhist. He was a follower of the Buddha. And I also have a statue of the Buddha here. So in this statue, the Buddha is just sitting in meditation for himself, enlightenment for himself, which is nice. This is a different Buddha. This is an engaged Buddha. This is a Buddha. Can you see it very well? It's Chinese. It's actually in the museum in Kansas City. It's huge. It's way bigger than me. It's carved of wood. So this Buddha is not sitting in contemplation for him herself. This Buddha is androgynous. Avalokiteshvara is the name of this one, a bodhisattva. So this Buddha has one leg up and one arm ready to step into the world and help. Not doing meditation for his, her own enlightenment and pleasure. Not so she or he reaches nirvana, that state of ecstasy for him or herself. No, this Buddha is not satisfied with this. This is a Thich Nhat Hanh type of Buddha. Thich Nhat Hanh started what is called engaged Buddhism. Buddhism that is about coming to one center so one is ready to step out into the world and help. As he did in Vietnam, and as he did for his whole life. And the Bodhisattva, which I believe Thich Nhat Hanh is one, and this is a rare, amazing being. The Bodhisattva is about to step into nirvana, to take that step into enlightenment, peace, eternal bliss, but chooses not to. Like you can't see me, but I'm acting as though there's a line here and there's one foot that is like. But the Bodhisattva chooses not to until all other beings find their way. I believe Thich Nhat Hanh is a Bodhisattva. And he is going before us, and in his wake, we are all being carried by the power of this great man and so many other great men and women. We are being carried by his power. Even though he has left the planet, he's still with us. And all of the example of his life is still with us. When the Buddha himself died, or he was dying, he was on his deathbed, and his followers were in despair. How can we go on without you? And what What the Buddha said to his followers is, don't worry, be lamps unto yourselves. Be your own confidence. Look to the truth within yourself as to the only lamp. You've got it. You've got it. You've got it within yourself. This is what the Buddha said, and this is what Thich Nhat Hanh is saying to us. Buddhas arrive over time. There are many Buddhas who come when humanity needs them. We certainly needed Thich Nhat Hanh, and he was with us. And more Buddhas will come, as more Christs will come. And what Thich Nhat Hanh said about the next Buddha is this: the next Buddha will be Maitreya, the Buddha of love. And Thich Nhat Hanh said, I think Maitreya Buddha may be a community and not just an individual. So Thich Nhat Hanh, Thai is gone from this planet. But be ye lamps unto yourselves. We're it. The next Buddha is you. All of you. All of us. We're it. We're the ones here being pulled along by the power of this great, 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 amazing soul, this Bodhisattva, Thich Nhat Hanh, and being challenged and helped to live in peace, to embody peace. So look to the truth within yourselves, dear friend. Let's sing our closing song together. And hear these closing words from Thich Nhat Hanh. People say that walking on water is a miracle. But to me, walking peacefully on the earth is the real miracle. Smile. Breathe. And go slowly, dear friends. Thank you so much for being here with us in this service. I feel like there is a gold mine. We are so lucky to have had Thich Nhat Hanh on the planet at the same time as us, and there is a gold mine of wisdom to learn from him. So I've decided that this was a hard service to do because I love him so dearly, and there's so much of his life and his teachings that is really like Howard Thurman. It's what we need for our times. So I'm going to do another two services actually on Thich Nhat Hanh, and the one will be in a few weeks on trauma. In 2 weeks in a few weeks on March 13th it'll be about 2 years since we've been in this lockdown situation, and we've all been through tremendous trauma, and there's a lot in the psychological and spiritual world around trauma, a lot of learning, and Thich Nhat Hanh was a leader in this, helping people recover from the trauma of the war and all the traumas of our ordinary lives. So I invite you, and Deb can put it in the chat box. So March 13th, Trauma Informed and Harmony Bound, a continuing tribute to Thich Nhat Hanh. I'll be preaching then. And then also more on Thich Nhat Hanh wrote an amazing book, Living Buddha, Living Christ, of the parallels between the lives of Buddha and Christ. So on April 10th, in preparation for Easter, I want to look at that, Living Buddha, Living Christ. and how we can understand those two traditions. So I hope if your heart is full and you would love to know more and experience more of the life and teachings of Thich Nhat Hanh, join us on March 13th for Trauma Informed, Harmony Bound, or on April 10th for Living Buddha, Living Christ. I hope that you will join us for that. So other announcements. So next week, Sharon is preaching along with Tina on Sidney Poitier, the lessons from that great life. We have a number of Friends on the Path groups going on that you're welcome to join us for. We have a Howard Thurman discussion group which met this past week. It meets on Tuesday. So is it the 2nd and 4th? I think that sounds right. The 2nd and 4th Tuesdays at 7:30, which I facilitate. We're having a great time. We had, what was it, like 10 people or something at the last one. And so contact me if you want to know more information, or check out our website. There's a whole section of Howard Thurman on our website. The service on March 20th will be a continuation of our Howard Thurman series, which will Usher Moses. Some of you heard Usher Moses, who works at Howard University and is the senior minister at the Empowerment Center in Cheverly, Maryland. He will be our guest speaker for the equinox on Howard Thurman and Howard Thurman's love of nature on March 20th. So I hope you will join us for any and all of that. So I think that is it for our announcements, and let us do sharing of joys and sorrows. If you have a joy or a sorrow to share.